Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Sales on Demand show. I'm your host, Adam Schneider. And the Sales on Demand show, we've reached episode 100. Yay! Tiny band playing beautiful music to celebrate. Yeah. So we hit 2 years a little while ago, but some of you might be doing the math and you're like, a weekly show, 2 years. Shouldn't you be on episode like 110 by now? Well, yes, I've taken some weeks off over the years, which is just kind of how things go. Yeah, that's just the way it is, and I don't know what to tell you. But episode 100 is still pretty good. And this episode we're going to be talking about investing. So how to invest your profits. You are investing your profits, right? Don't tell me that you are spending your profits, because that's not a smart way to run a business. Yeah, we'll talk about that moving forward. So I'm feeling pretty optimistic. Spring is kind of in the air. I know it's March. It's a little early for spring. At least here in Canada, it's early for spring. But it does feel kind of springy outside because, the weather's not winter. And I'll be honest, the last few weeks I've just been feeling really pessimistic about living in Canada. And I've chatted with my family and all of them are basically saying, yeah, it's like Canada's fine, but if we could move somewhere that didn't have 6 months of winter, that would also be pretty cool too. Which is kind of a switch from the normal way. It used to be that we loved living in this province, in this country, but I don't know. I'm just not quite as sold on it anymore as I used to be. And I'm not saying I don't love my community. I'm just not closing my mind to the idea that I might move somewhere else someday. And I'm happy to hear that my wife and my kids are kind of in the same boat. Because, quite frankly, 6 months of winter, it's just a lot. And it just, half the year that you just hate existing kind of sucks. Even if it's hot during the winter, it's still nice. Like, you can go outside if you're in the shade, or if it's in the evening or something like that, you see the leaves in the tree, you're just sitting outside on the deck. I haven't seen my deck in, I don't know, probably 2 or 3 months. It's just been covered in layer upon layer of snow. I haven't used my barbecue. I don't even know where my garden is. It's buried somewhere underneath the snow, which is melting, but it's still kind of, I'm looking forward to getting in there and digging the soil up a bit, but it's just such a pain that it's just a short growing season. So I don't know if I was going to move to the U.S. I was looking at Idaho. The panhandle that touches the bottom half of Canada looks kind of interesting, like Coeur d'Alene, that area there. Mainly because it's really close to where we are right now. It's about, 5 or 6 hour drive, which means that if we wanted to come back to Canada to visit my family, it wouldn't be that far to drive. And the temperature there is much more optimal. I mean, it doesn't get super hot, but it also doesn't get super cold. They do get some snow, but it's still raining all the way up until November, which is fine. I love rain. I would be delighted to get much, much more rain in my life. It's just, there's something about rain that's really peaceful. So that's just kind of what I'm thinking about. I know that there's a lot of change coming about. I'm not telling you guys that I'm, picking up and moving or anything, but I'm just realizing that I'm in control of the future. I don't have to just stay where I'm at. And it's kind of liberating to think that way. And I know that there's going to be more change, and most of it is going to be good. I'm in an optimistic mood. And I guess that's a little different from last week where I was a little bit angry. So my anger is kind of faded out, and now I'm just ready to move on. So let's talk about what's selling. Well, it is relatively quiet, but this is the calm before the storm that I talk about all the time. There are some great holidays coming up. I have no reason to think that this year is not going to be a a fantastic year for selling online. It's going to be excellent. Mother's Day is May 9th, which seems early. And, it just means that you've got to get ready now. So if you wanted to send any FBA stock in, that's only 2 months away. And people are going to start realizing that really soon. As soon as we turn the corner to April, I believe we're going to start seeing an increase in sales for Mother's Day. And I've said this before, Mother's Day can be as good as Christmas. Maybe not better than Christmas, but in many ways it's as good as Christmas, and without all of the shipping problems of Christmas that we normally see. Of course, 2020 Christmas shipping was just a disaster. It was an atrocity, and 2020 Mother's Day was really weird too, because everybody was kind of locked in their homes, and Amazon wasn't shipping out anything except for the essentials, and then they started shipping out some non-essential stuff, so it was just really unpredictable. I mean, despite that, still had an excellent Mother's Day, and it was probably as good as Christmas, and I'm looking forward to exceeding that this year. My goal is always to beat what I was doing the year before, and so far I've managed to achieve that on all of the platforms. Alright, so, of course you can get a free video and weekly tips when you join my email list, so I'm going to give you a special link today because it is the 100th show of the Sales on Demand show. I have got some bonuses. Yeah, so I was racking my brain. I'm like, what can I really give as part of my training program? Like, what can I pile on to this training program that is really going to make it worthwhile? So let me tell you what I have got for you. I've got another discount. I'm not going to tell you how much the discount is. You'll have to sign up to figure that out. But I also have full 2 hours of one-on-one coaching when you sign up for the Print on Demand A to Z, my flagship training program. You're going to find that at salesondemandshow.com/AZ. The letter A, the letter Z. No spaces, no dashes. The letters AZ. So you're going to find that sign-up list there. As soon as you sign up, you're going to get a discount code. And if you join the program, you will be entitled to a full 2 hours of personal one-on-one coaching. So basically, we get on a Zoom call and I help you solve any technical problems. I help you get started. If you have any questions, you can ask me directly. You also get access to the Print on Demand A to Z Facebook group. There's pretty close to 30 people in there now, and there's probably there's at least 4 or 5 people that are pretty good at selling, and very experienced people who can answer questions. And it's starting to get a lot more posts in there, and that's basically the place where you go to ask any questions. If you have any issues, you say, oh, hey, what's going on? I have this issue here, and then somebody answers your question. It's basically kind of like coaching, but you don't have to go on a Zoom call to get it. So that is part of the bonus, plus the discount. So make sure you sign up for that at salesondemandshow.com/AZ. All right, so let's talk about investing. Well, I mean, this kind of came to mind when I started doing some crypto investing. So you're going to have to forgive me. I'm not an expert in crypto. I'm not going to explain what crypto is. It is what it is. Crypto is like, it's kind of this mysterious digital currency. And I guess you'll just have to go and watch some videos on it if you want to learn what it is. But it is a cool investment, and it has gained a significant amount of value just in the last little while. And I foresee that crypto, and Bitcoin in particular, will probably have a tremendous amount of upside. So we'll talk about crypto and some other things that you can invest into. So I want to talk about investing into 4 things. And it's not going to be 4 different cryptocurrencies that you can invest into. Some of these things are going to surprise you, and some of these things are not going to surprise you. And the last thing is going to be the crypto and, gold, silver, some other foreign exchange stuff. So that's going to be the last thing that I recommend you invest into. First of all, let's talk about, because you cannot eat Bitcoin. You can trade Bitcoin with other people, but it's actually fairly difficult to trade Bitcoin. You're going to need something when the power goes out. And I say when the power goes out because it's almost inevitable that anything that runs on electricity, any power system will fail at some point. We learned this just this year in Texas. Obviously, the power went out and people needed food, and food was hard to come by. So actually, I should probably give you the preamble here. So move back a little bit, and print on demand is an excellent side hustle, and it builds up over time. But you do need to be really smart with your profits, right? And I've said this before, if you're working at a job, don't quit your job, okay? I'm not teaching you how to quit your job. I'm teaching you how to build a side income that builds and scales over time. It doesn't take a lot of time to invest in this. You don't have to be sitting in front of your computer every single day building listings. You really only need about half an hour a day, maybe not even that much, but it builds up over time, and the income is quite passive. It's not, perfectly passive, but especially on Amazon, Amazon FBA is really passive. When you have stock at Amazon deals with all of the customer support. They deal with all of the returns. They deal with just about everything. All you have to do is make sure that those items are at Amazon. So you just, you go to your supplier and you go, okay, let's print off another box of 36 and send it there. Done. And then Amazon sends you the checks, basically by direct deposit. It's pretty sweet. And I could not be happier with that aspect. But I definitely tell people, don't quit your job. You need to have something that sustains you and pays the bills, and then take your profits and reinvest them. Don't rely on your profit, and don't spend it, because you're going to need that money. If you want to build and scale your business, you're going to need some cash, right? I mean, at the very least, you should be saving 10% of all the money coming in to your bank account. 10% of it should be going to some kind of investment, either savings or, reinvesting in your business or something like that. So 30% would be even better, but start with 10%. And if you feel like you can't make that, then start with something. Start with $25 a month, and then the next month double it, the next month add another $25. Just keep on increasing the amount of money that you take out and put into some kind of investment. And again, I'm not talking about, Bitcoin and stuff like that. We're going to talk about some investments like food and preps that are really hard physical stuff that you're going to need, that you're going to be spending money on eventually. You just want to spend the money early so that the stuff is there when you need it. So one of the things that I'm investing in the next couple of weeks is I'm going to be buying some beef. And I kind of lucked out. I was born into a ranching family. I mean, my family is cattle. And I, of course, used to do cattle myself. We had sheep and we had cattle running on our property. We used to be kind of farming. And it ended up, we just were in too much debt to continue doing that. But I've always loved that. And I, maybe someday, hopefully we can get some animals again. That'd be pretty sweet. Had some chickens. That was a lot of fun. I love chickens. And they're easy to raise too. They're not much work. But one of the beauty things about having people that do cattle is that every once in a while they take some of their cows and they butcher them, and then they offer the meat to other family members at a pretty nice discount. So I'm buying half a cow. I eat a ton of beef. And this beef that we're getting is like some of the healthiest beef that has ever been produced. It's not feedlot beef, it's grass-fed and like just a little bit of grain finish, and it is so tasty. And half a cow is a lot of meat, and it does last a while in the freezer. You know, I still have some left over from about a year and a half ago, and it's still perfectly good stuff. Like, it's wrapped in butcher paper, take it out, thaw it out, cook it on the grill, and it is fantastic. So I'm going to be buying half a cow, and it's a pretty steep investment. It's about $1,200 of just cash out of the pocket. So that's one of my investments that I'm going to be putting money into in the next couple weeks. And the next thing, of course, is knowledge. Knowledge. You need to invest in knowledge. Now, this doesn't always cost money. Of course, I have the training program, the Print on Demand A to Z. When you invest in that, you get lifetime access to basically everything I know about print on demand. Like everything in my brain. The whole lot of it. And I'm constantly adding to the program. You're basically making a lifetime investment in everything that I know and everything that I ever will know. It's hard to pass that up, especially at the price that I'm offering it at, because other people are offering training programs and they're charging a lot of money. So I'm not charging that kind of money because, you know, I don't see the need to charge that kind of money. But knowledge can be gained a lot of different ways. You don't have to pay for it, but you do have to pay for it in some measure. You don't have to pay cash, but sometimes you need to pay time. And time can be just as much of a cost as money, and sometimes it's more of a cost than money because you're taking away time from something else that you could be using to earn money. But the knowledge is valuable, and it's more valuable even than anything else. I mean, knowledge is better than the hard assets, right? So that'll be the third thing to invest in was hard assets. But of course, knowledge kind of beats that out, because if you have assets that can make you money, but you don't have the knowledge how to use them, they're worthless. I mean, imagine that you went and bought a welding truck. Do you think a welding truck would be any value to you if you didn't know how to weld? I mean, I don't know how to weld. I've never done it before. And I wouldn't trust myself to join two pieces of metal together with duct tape, never mind with like some kind of welding stick. But if I had the knowledge to do it, then I could make a lot more money than if I just had the welder. So knowledge is important because knowledge can be used to make more money down the road. So that's definitely something you need to invest in, and some of the ways that you can invest in this is YouTube videos. You can go online, you can follow people who are inspiring, people who know about business, listen to podcasts, and of course, you know, this podcast as well, but there are other podcasts that you can listen to. I think some of my favorite podcasts for business are there's one called The Side Hustle Show with Nick Loper. There's JLD, John Lee Dumas, who is the Entrepreneur on Fire guy. And he has an amazing podcast. I don't listen to every single episode, but he's really, really, really great. And I listen to maybe like one a week of his podcast. I look at the topics and I see which one looks good to me. And it just keeps my brain, you know, really centered in the business world instead of being focused on anything else, because that's where I need to be. So, of course, after knowledge comes those hard assets. And these could be like physical assets, or they can be investing in, you know, basically soft assets like virtual assistant time. So we've talked about this before, but a virtual assistant might be one of the best investments you can make in your business. And that's saying a lot, because there's a lot of good things that you can invest in, including Amazon FBA stock. You can look and find 6 good listings that you want to send for Amazon FBA and order a box of 36 with 6 units each. And then you can... sorry, my son just poked his head in here, which is fine. He's just curious. He's got his friends over. Anyway, so as I was saying, you can invest in Amazon FBA stock. You can invest in a virtual assistant who is going to make a huge difference. And you're building up your listings. You're building up the amount of products that you have for sale. You can also invest in printing equipment. I would put this one last. After you've made a lot of sales, then you can invest in some printing equipment and print your own products. Maybe you want to send some FBA stock to Amazon, and maybe you're planning on really going hard on Amazon, so you buy your own printing equipment, your own mugs, and saves you a little bit of money. Instead of buying, printed mugs from someone else, you just buy them and print them yourself. Now, of course, number 4 is the one that most people are really excited about, but I want to emphasize that the first 3 things there are the things that you are much more likely to make real wealth with, okay? So a lot of people are really excited about crypto right now. Crypto is the new, what's that? There was an investment back in Holland. What was it? Some kind of flower. People were really invested in buying flowers. And so the price of these flowers kept going up. And there was a run on them. And people get excited about things that are doubling, tripling, or quadrupling in value. And crypto is one of those things that has really, really increased in value. And everybody is they're just going nuts over it right now. And some people are just basically crypto is everything and nothing else is worth buying. And I just got to tell you that I don't know. That's ridiculous. And it's foolish. So do not take all of your money and dump it into crypto, because it is hugely volatile. However, there is a good investment strategy for crypto that I do recommend, and basically what you do is you just buy about 50 to maybe $100 of crypto. 50 is probably good, and just buy every week. Wait for the whatever crypto you're looking at to go down in value. Pick a time when it's at its lowest, because it does fluctuate, and it can fluctuate by 5 to 10% a day, which is insane. So I'm looking at my crypto portfolio right now, and I only bought this crypto about a week ago, and it's already up about 10% from where I bought it. So, but of course, it is so volatile that I could lose half of that over, the next two months. But my strategy is going to be the same. I am going to take about $100 every week, and I'm just going to buy on the dips. So I'm going to wait for it to dip as much as I can, and then if I see a really big dip, I'll probably invest more, because I do see crypto having a good future, at least in the near-term future. But I'm not putting all of my money into crypto, so don't get too excited about that, because it is volatile. There's also, silver futures and mining stocks. If you're looking at stocks, anything that's dealing with precious metals is always a good investment. I can't tell you which ones are the best. I don't know enough about them to really advise you on that, but I know that, those kinds of things are good. I am investing in physical silver. So I like physical silver because it is physical. I do recommend physical silver over and that's because the physical silver cannot be, deleted or erased. You have that in your possession, and you can trade it with people. And the physical metals, actually, from what I've seen, have a lot more actual value than the sort of non-physical if you invest in silver, the difference between the physical and the sort of, you're buying shares of silver or something like that. The physical metal always is in much more demand, and often commands much higher prices than the ethereal, silver that someone else owns that you're buying a share in, for example. So those are the kinds of things that I recommend investing your money in, but only after you have invested your money in the first 3 things. Now, I mean, I think it goes without saying that if you need to be out of debt, then work on that first. Make sure you have some cash on hand. And I'm a fan of Dave Ramsey, so I like to say that, start with $1,000. You should have $1,000 that you can access at any given time. And that means, like, if your car breaks down, you can get it towed. If your tires blow, you can replace them. It's just an emergency fund. And you should be adding to that $1,000 all the time. It's not a bad idea to be looking at things that depreciate in your house and putting away money to replace those things eventually. So I've got a fund basically where it's basically like the car slash electronic device slash repairing things fund, and we're putting about $250 a month into that fund so that if we need some money for dental work or something like that, then we're just taking money out of that fund, and basically it replaces the insurance that we used to have. And it also covers, depreciation on vehicles, vehicle maintenance, stuff like that. So you should always be putting money into some kind of emergency fund just in case, because things happen. They always happen. And if you're not prepared for it, if you're living hand to mouth, then you are going to be caught, with your proverbial pants down. And that's not a good look, Keep your pants up and keep your belt on. Put away an emergency fund and then start investing your money in some of these things. Now, let me tell you, there's going to be some inflation, and there's going to be, I like to keep like about 20% of my investment money sitting in some form that I can just quickly invest it in something. So I've got some cash sitting in my crypto account that if I see that crypto is starting to get really crazy, I can just quickly drop the cash in there, buy some assets, and then if I want to take my gains and, pull out some of the cash, I can do that. So that's kind of what I'm aiming to do. It's more of a speculation, but it's no more than 20% of my investment portfolio, so to speak. And of course, a lot of my portfolio is going to be sitting in my freezer, waiting for me to put it on the smoker or the grill this year. That's going to be awesome. I can't wait. Grilling season has come. All right, guys, that's it for this episode. One last time, I'll remind you that I've got a really good bonus going on right now. 2 hours of personal one-on-one coaching and a discount. You could find that at salesondemandshow.com/AZ. Check it out. We'll see you in the next episode. Cheers.